The 20 richest people of all time. There are wealthy people, and then there are renowned wealthy people. Humanity has produced billionaires all around the world, but history has registered a significant number of multi-billionaires whose wealth trembled the world. They are the richest of all times. One would think that with modern-day sophisticated technology and lifestyle, the present-day billionaires would douse the flames of the ancient royalties and lords. This has not happened. At least not yet. As a couple of our modern-day billionaires make the list, however, here are the 20 richest people of all time. Number 20, Frederick Weyerhaeuser. Net worth, $80 billion. 6-year-old Frederick was a student of the Lutheran school at Niedersalheim. He also helped on the family farm with his parents. After the death of his father, he immigrated to the United States with his family. There, he worked in a brewery for 2 years. Frederick later ventured into the construction and sawmill industry, and in the 1900s, he bought 900,000 acres of timberland and founded the Weyerhaeuser Timber Company, which is still the largest seller of timber in the United States. Number 19, Henry, Duke of Lancaster. Net worth, $85.1 billion. Henry was a diplomat, soldier, and politician. He was also royalty, the only son and heir of Henry, Earl of Lancaster. The enthusiastic Duke ventured into several enterprises during the war in France, and in 1336 he was made a lieutenant to the King of Scotland. He particularly campaigned for peace with the French in the 1350s. Henry died in 1361 at Leicester at the age of 51. Prior to his death, he authored the devotional Livre des Saints Médecins, Book of the Holy Doctors. Number 18, A.T. Stewart. Net worth, $90 billion. Stewart was a successful Irish entrepreneur. With his inheritance, he established his dry goods business. In 1823, he opened his first fabric store in New York. Stewart died of pneumonia on October 25, 1886. His remains were stolen after his burial and held for ransom for $20,000. Prior to his death, he revolutionized the American retail trade. His outstanding success in business shunned the ministerial dream his parents had for him. Number 17, Stephen Girard. Net worth, $105 billion. Ages after his death, he still has a slot as one of the richest men of all time in the United States of America. He built his empire from shipping and banking and helped salvage the American financial status. In 1831, he died from complications of an accident. A majority of his wealth was donated to charity. Number 16, John of Gaunt. Net worth, $110 billion. John was of noble ancestry, the fourth son of King Edward III. He was married to his third cousin and heiress, Blanche of Lancaster. Consequently, the death of his in-law earned him the title of Earl of Lancaster. He automatically inherited half of Lancaster itself. Fateful circumstances finally took him up the ladder as he became the Duke of Lancaster. He was definitely one of the wealthiest of his time, with land ownership in many places throughout England. John, the political enthusiast, acquired the alarming number of about 30 estates and castles in both England and France. Number 15, Richard Fitzalan. Net worth, $118.6 billion. Richard was the first son of Edmund Fitzalan, the 8th Earl of Arundel. Though his fortune took an unprecedented turn away from anticipated prosperity, he still had his spot on the list of the wealthiest of all time. He was a gallant warrior who led the army during the fight for independence in Scotland. In 1330, he regained his royal inheritance, and by 1347, he had become the Earl of Surrey. Richard amassed a great deal of wealth for himself. He was buried next to his wife in the Anne Arundel tomb after his death. Number 14. John Jacob Astor, net worth $121 billion. Jacob was a fur merchant. His intelligent business strategies landed him the record of the first multi-millionaire in the United States. His fur clientele stretched out from the United States to China and Europe. From his tremendously successful fur empire, he veered into a real estate business in New York City. Number 13. William D. Warren, net worth $147.13 billion. William was the first Earl of Surrey. This position was a complimentary token given to William, the belligerent justiciar, by William II. His valor at the Battle of Hastings earned him a royal bounty. By virtue of his land grants, William D. Warren had become one of the largest landowners at that time in England. With his wife Gundrid, they founded the first monastery, Lewes Priory, St. Pancras, in England. The remains of this medieval establishment was found on the east side of the land property of the county of Sussex. There, he was also buried next to his wife. Number 12. Bill Gates, net worth $136 billion. Bill Gates has become a household name. Not only has he gained a lot of wealth, but also a place in the wealthiest of all times Hall of Fame. Bill co-founded with Paul Allen the largest software company in the world, the Microsoft Corporation. He is the number one wealthiest man in the world as of 2015. Number 11. Alan Rufus, net worth $178.65 billion. Alan Rufus, the Count of Brittany, is famous for being the strong arm to William the Conqueror. He has similar character identification with William D. Warren. He was also rewarded with land holdings. He is the Baron of the Richmond Castle and owns Cambridgeshire and a host of other properties in England. Number 10. Cornelius Vanderbilt, net worth $185 billion. Cornelius made his fortune from his ingenuity in shipping goods and other merchandise. More significantly, was his unique drive into the construction and ownership of several railroads in New York and Manhattan. He started his ferry business in his teenage years. During the American Civil War in the 19th century, Commodore, as he was fondly called, supplied the ships for the war, some by way of donation and others for plain business purposes. Number 9. Henry Ford, net worth $199 billion. Ford was born in Michigan. He founded the world-famous Ford Motor Company. With his industrialism, he demystified the wonders of swank automobiles. This strategy made him a very wealthy man. His entrepreneurial titles ranged from a humble watch repairer, engineering apprentice, chief engineer, and finally the Ford Company Baron. He also had a taste for the aviation business. He is one of the strongest initiators and promoters of consumerism in the United States. Number 8. Muammar Gaddafi, net worth $200 billion. Gaddafi, though contentious, was a multi-billionaire. He was a revolutionary turned dictator who ruled Libya for 42 years. Beyond the controversies of his reign, Colonel Gaddafi performed his obligatory rights in terms of providing free and affordable basic amenities for his people. He patronized the concept of Pan-Africanism and co-founded the African Union. He is known for the 8th World Wonder, the construction of the world's largest irrigation system in Libya. The project, which took 24 years to perfect, was funded completely by his government. His death in 2011 revealed he was worth $200 billion in cash and several assets. Number 7. William the Conqueror. Net worth $229.6 billion. William was the son of Robert, the Duke of Normandy. Upon his father's death, while he was on pilgrimage, William assumed the throne at the tender age of 8. His triumph in the war at Hastings gave him the Conqueror title. He became the King of England in 1066. He had a positive influence in the structuring of the church in the medieval age. Number 6. Mir Osman Ali Khan. Net worth $230 billion. He was widely known as a generous king who valued education. He supported the British with aircraft during the First World War. His assets were not basic land holdings like others. He had mining royalties, and in the 1940s he had become the world's richest man. Number 5. Nikolai Alexandrovich Romanov. Net worth $300 billion. Tsar Nikolai, the Passion Bearer, was the last of the monarchs to rule Russia. The Bolshevik Revolution claimed his life and those of his entire family. Disregarding mixed opinions, the Romanov family were canonized passion bearers by the Russian Orthodox Church. Although he was not a typical strong-willed ruler, he was extremely wealthy. Number 4. Andrew Carnegie. Net worth $310 billion. Andrew was the lord of the steel industry in the 19th century. At 13, Andrew had begun to earn his weekly $1.20 wage in a textile mill. Bright and scholarly, Andrew worked as a telegraph operator in a railroad company where he acquired fresh business acumen in iron works. He founded the Keystone Bridge Company and later the Carnegie Steel Company. He constantly gave a startling amount of his wealth to charity. He believed in equal distribution of wealth, as evident in the Gospel of Wealth article. Number 3. John D. Rockefeller. Net worth $340 billion. John enjoyed a monopoly in the oil industry in the United States. He co-founded Standard Oil Company. The invention of railroads made an avenue for him to become the all-time business baron that he was. His prior bookkeeping experience probably spurred up the interest in establishing and funding of the University of Chicago, Rockefeller University, and the Central Philippine University. John also made a successful career in philanthropy. Number 2. The Rothschilds family. Net worth $350 billion. The German Rothschilds family is believed to be one of the world's richest in the 19th century. The Rothschilds patriarch, Mayer Amschel Rothschild, started his banking business in the 18th century. He further gave the business an international potential by involving his industrious sons in the management of the business. He strategically placed them in 5 main European financial centers. Amschel was the son of a money changer. Little wonder why he ventured into the business of money. Number 1. Mansa Musa. Net worth $400 billion. Amongst many other titles, Mansa Musa, the Lord of the Mines of Wangara, was the 10th emperor of the Malian Empire. He is the wealthiest to have ever lived in human history. The devout Muslim wielded so much power and controlled a lot of the wealth in the early 14th century. He ruled over 400 cities of Mali, then the whole of West Africa, for 25 years. Courtesy of Sergio Damian, the Italian architect, the resounding amazement of his construction spree remains monumental. He founded the University of Sankore in Timbuktu. He also benefited from the exports of gold and salt. These are the 20 richest people of all time. Please share on social media and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.